So you have a teenager and you want what's best for them, but sometimes you just don't know what to do. I mean, we've all been there, right? Well, welcome to today's episode of How to Be the Parent Your Teenager Needs You to Be, where with each episode we explore the challenges, the questions, the concerns, and the issues that you face as a parent with a teenager. If your goal is to empower your teenager to be their absolute best and to bring the peace, joy, warmth, and love back into your home, then you've come to the right place. Well, today we're going to be taking a look at the topic of gratitude, and I've got an idea for you, a way to introduce a conversation that will help your teenager to appreciate and engage with more gratitude as they move through their life. So let's check it out. Well, hello again, everyone. My name is Jim White, and I'm an author, coach, and the founder of the Family Enrichment Academy. I'd like to welcome you to today's episode of How to Be the Parent Your Teenager Needs You to Be. And today, again, as I mentioned, we're going to be talking about the topic of gratitude, and I've got an idea for you. But before we do that, though, I did want to touch on a couple of items. First of all, I just wanted to say thank you on behalf of your teenager for your commitment to being a better parent and a better person. You know, having a growth mindset is just going to be critical to getting through these teenage years. And also, that growth mindset is the foundation of our FEA Hero community. Now, if you're not familiar with our community, be sure to check out our introductory episode, which is episode 1 of this podcast. Now, the second thing I wanted to mention is I do have a free resource for you. What I have, and it really stems from a very common question that I get. The question is, how do I get my teenager to open up and talk more? Well, the simple answer is you have to ask better questions. And so I've got 10 questions you should never ask your teenager. Think of these as like conversation killers. And then 10 great questions, the conversation starters. And again, it's a free resource. Just click the link in the show notes and you'll be able to download that resource. So back to our conversation about gratitude. And what I'd like to throw out today is the idea of extending your gratitude beyond just what's in front of you at that moment. And this is a great way to engage your teenager and have a conversation around gratitude. So let me give you an example of what I'm talking about when I say extending beyond what's just in front of you. So I live in a part of the country where we experience all 4 seasons. And actually and again, we're approaching Thanksgiving, so we're in November, and we just had our first blast of winter, if you will. We had, the temperatures dropped into the teens and the wind was blowing. It was just, kind of miserable cold. And, if you live in a part of the country where this happens, it's that kind of cold that can almost take your breath away. Well, I bring this up because when it's that cold, it's very difficult to get warm, and one of the few times that you really can feel that warmth is when you're taking a hot shower. And last week, during this little cold snap, I was in the shower one morning and just really enjoying that warmth of the shower, and I literally said out loud, "Thank you." And so the question is, who was I thanking? Well, at the moment, I was thanking the warm water. But I've gotten into this practice, and at that moment, this time, I did take it and start thinking about, extending that gratitude beyond just the warm water, extending it to, who were the people that were involved in allowing this to happen for me. And so I thought for a moment about the contractor that, built the house and, put the shower into the house, and just expressing, thinking some grateful thoughts towards him, thinking some thoughts about the contractor that put the water heater into the house. And even to, my thoughts went to, somebody got up out of their bed, went to work at the factory where this water heater was built that allowed that warm water to be there for me on that morning. So can you see how that's extending that gratitude out beyond just the immediate benefit of the warm water? And what I've noticed when I do that is I feel a greater sense of gratitude. It's like it's more than just what's right there at that moment. And the other thing is it also inspires a little bit of I'll call it a sense of awe about just how interconnected we are and how dependent we are on each other. And so it's an interesting exercise to go through to try to extend that gratitude beyond than just what's right there in front of you. So here's the challenge for Thanksgiving. Tomorrow's Thanksgiving. I'm releasing this episode on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. So what I invite you to do is when you sit down to your Thanksgiving dinner, and you're giving thanks for the turkey and the sweet potatoes and the stuffing, all the food that's there, invite your children or your teenager to think about and try to name off all of the people that were involved in making that meal possible. You can, make a game out of it. See how many names you can come up with. There's the truck driver that drove the turkey from the farm to the store. There's the cash register, the person that ran the cash register at the grocery store when you bought the turkey. You can just start naming things off and just have a little fun with it, and again, make it a little bit of a game. And if you can do this, I'd also invite you to talk about that ripple effect. And it's interesting how a work that somebody does can ripple and affect many people along the way. And kind of bring that into the idea of how does the work that we do ripple out and affect people, or maybe an act of kindness. What's the ripple effect there as well? So just again, engage this conversation, see what happens. I think you might find it's pretty interesting and kind of a fun thing to do. And I would assert that there's really three primary benefits from doing this. First of all, it's going to deepen your connection. It's an engaging, interesting way to have a discussion with your teen. It's going to deepen your connection. You're going to end up with a teenager that I think actually will have a little bit more gratitude. They'll feel and have a sense of what gratitude is and feel a little bit more gratitude. And then finally, you'll have one that's a little bit more aware of that ripple effect. Through that awareness of the ripple effect, they're going to feel a little bit more of a sense of purpose and connected with other people, and it'll bring a little significance to their life. And I think all of these things are good things. I mean, wouldn't you agree? So as we wrap up this episode, I just invite you to introduce that into your Thanksgiving routine and just see what happens. And it's a great way to have and engage in a conversation around gratitude. So again, before we sign off today, I just want to remind everybody I do have those 10 questions you should never ask your teenager, as well as those 10 great questions, the conversation starters. And it's available as a free resource. You can just click the link below and be able to download that. Once again, also, as we sign off, I just want to say it's truly an honor and a privilege to be able to serve and support you as you move along your parenting journey, and act as the hero for your family by taking a stand for love, and in this case, gratitude within your family. So as we sign off, as always, I just want to remind you that a change in perspective changes everything.